I am the God of my reality. How many times have you heard yourself or someone saying this very thing I just said, especially in the manifesting world? If you heard yourself declare, I am the God of my reality, just pause for a second. Who exactly is saying that? It's a question we rarely think about. When we identify with a collection of stories, thoughts, and beliefs, what I refer to as the separate self, it is this separate self that boldly proclaims, I am the God of my reality. But let's peel back the layers here. Identifying with this separate self actually binds us. It views the God self as something outside of us, something we must achieve, we must transcend to, we must become, rather than understanding that our human identities are merely expressions or costumes that God wears. We lack a true grasp of what it means to be the God of my reality. And so this separate self tries to take on the role of God. It tries to play God, attempting to control and manifest the perfect life according to its desires. Yet, realizing that you are God or God self or awareness doesn't come with pompous proclamations or a feeling of supremacy over others or feeling like you're just above it all. Instead, it's a quiet, compassionate realization. Recognizing your true nature as God or awareness is not about wielding power or standing apart. It's about seeing that you are inherently part of everything and everyone. You are everything and everyone. It's often a quiet, profound awakening filled with understanding and connection, not a clamor for control or a throne above the world. So before we dive in and bust some myths, and before I share how to connect with your God self towards the end of this video, if you want to access my one-on-one coaching sessions, please email me at hello@anilareddy.com or check out my mini experiences in the description linked below. So coming back to this experience, whatever we were talking about right now, when the separate self presumes itself to be God, it indulges in a deceptive sense of power, a power rooted deeply in separation. The separate self feels isolated from everything and everyone. It is fundamentally about survival. It seeks to control, to manipulate, to dominate its environment. Dominate, control people and life experiences as well. So this arises not from a place of unity, but from a stance of profound separateness. So embracing I am God as merely a method or a concept that you must grasp and wear or adorn like a mask only perpetuates this illusion. If you attempt to step into the role or the state of God self solely to manifest your desires or to control the world around you, you'll find yourself perpetually dissatisfied, disconnected. It feels like something essential is missing from your God self, because the results, even if they materialize, they are temporary. They're just fleeting. This happens because the separate self is merely acting, playing at being God, donning it like a costume. Thus, a state, the separate self, is trying to force its way into the God self, treating this God self as another state to be entered, to be achieved, rather than recognizing its ever-present reality. So God is not an identity to be assumed. Your human self, whether you call it Anila, Mary, or Joseph, or some other unique name, is actually the identity through which the boundless God self is expressing itself. You are not stepping into a God state because you are inherently and perpetually God. You are always God. You are God navigating through multiple states, echoing the wisdom of the mystic Neville Goddard, who speaks of our divine journey through varied experiences. Yet the ego, which is the separate self, misconstrues this profound truth in a rather self-centered manner. The separate self declares, I am God, so I wield ultimate power. I decide how things go. The entire universe must bend to my will. They must conform to my desires. My specific person is merely a puppet, just a character in my play. I am the center of this narrative, and everyone else, they are just extras. They're all just puppets orchestrated by my will. So this egocentric view reduces others to nothingness, envisioning them as puppets who exist solely to fulfill personal whims. It fantasizes about the other person as having no agency of their own, bound to adore, chase, and obsess over the ego or the separate self endlessly, because it believes these scenarios to be unequivocally true. Such an approach strips the divine essence of its true nature. Being God is not about exerting control or diminishing others, but realizing that you and all creation are intricately woven. We are interwoven in this divine awareness. So being God means embracing a unity where every person's agency and divinity are acknowledged and celebrated. They don't come under the whims of a single egotistical will. So when you genuinely rest in your God self, seeing through the illusion of the separate self, what I often refer to as resting in reality, your approach to life and desires transforms profoundly. This is how you rest in awareness. You come to realize that no one is a puppet. This is not just a concept. It's a profound realization that God is all. It's like what our keen subscriber once pointed out through Lauryn Hill's lyrics in Everything is Everything. When God is all, there's nothing and no one left to manipulate or dominate. There is no separate world bending to your whims, because God is the essence that gives rise to everyone, encompasses everything, and knows all. So if we substitute the word God with the word awareness, it might feel more approachable, more neutral, yet the essence is still the same. So you can use whatever term you want. So awareness encompasses all. It contains all. It creates all and is conscious or aware of all experiences. Truly being your God self is to recognize that the God self is serene, unified with all, because it is all. God isn't just in your reality. God is reality. In clearer terms, I am is reality. I am is all there is. Recognizing your God self means understanding that it is not swayed by the urge for control or power trips. It knows there's truly nothing and no one to control. It is not about exerting force. It's about embracing the seamless unity of all existence. So think of being the God self not as a role you slip into, but as an ever-present, encompassing essence of being. God is not a mask you wear, nor a state you toggle on and off. You are always in your God self. It's not even apt to call it self in the traditional sense, because the term implies a finite entity with form and boundaries. Instead, imagine it as presence, the I am, or simply the experience of being, or pure isness. When you consciously recognize and rest as your God self, you are not discovering something new. Rather, you are acknowledging what has always been there. You are not overlooking the moment, but fully embracing it, standing complete and whole in the totality of who you truly are. So in this recognition, you understand profoundly, yet simply, that nothing is missing from you or your life. This is not about gaining or achieving. It's about realizing the fullness that you inherently are. So is tapping into your God self essential for manifesting? Well, I know you've asked me that. So here's a little secret. You're already there. You are not just close to the God state or 90% in the God state. You are the embodiment of it already. You are both the creator and the creation, the entirety of all that is. As I've often said, you can't step into the God state because you've never actually stepped out of it. The challenge is not in becoming your God self. It's in recognizing that you are, especially when the world seems tough or you feel less worthy. So if you're seeking more stable, lasting manifestations, then yes, consciously connecting with your God self is invaluable. And here's the really nice part. This connection does not require special conditions. You don't need to isolate yourself. You don't need to close your eyes or find a quiet corner or quiet 20 minutes of your time. Your God self is not a distant figure to be accessed only in moments of solitude. It is an ever-present reality, accessible at any moment, in any situation, eyes wide open or shut. It's a portable, on-the-go realization because it is fundamentally who you are. There is no need to struggle to attain this state. It's about gently reminding yourself of this truth as you go about your day. For most of our lives, we assume that we are nothing more than a specific identity, a collection of stories, thoughts, and feelings. We adopt these labels wholeheartedly, embracing roles like Anila, a female, a citizen of the United States, or roles within our families and societies. These identities can feel secure, or they can drive our insecurities, building feelings of competition, jealousy, and a sense of otherness. They can make us feel overlooked or not good enough, fueling fears of abandonment or inadequacy. Often in our journey through life, it's spent defending and nurturing these identities. And when we stumble upon manifestation teachings, particularly those that are incomplete or superficial, we attempt to swap out these old identities for new, improved ones, rather than penetrating the illusion of these identities entirely. This approach leads to inconsistencies in our manifestation efforts. We fail to fully transcend our old states because we do not truly see through the illusion of our supposed identities. Switching identities is not inherently problematic. It can be quite beneficial in some cases. However, the challenge lies in our failure to recognize and dissolve these old identities. This oversight keeps us attached to them, preventing us from experiencing the true freedom that comes from understanding our real essence. So, Neville Goddard, the mystic, referencing the Bible, advised us to be still and know I am God. Yet we often ignore the profound simplicity of this being still. To be still is to realize and embody I am as God. This is where the true power and transformation lies. Being still is not an inactivity, it's about profound inner recognition and alignment with our deepest truth, that we are beyond these fleeting identities, eternally one with God. Resting in the God self doesn't just bring you peace or, ease. It cleanses. When you truly rest in the divine awareness, which is your true self or God self, you're not just idling, you're actively dissolving those unwanted states or identities naturally as a natural side effect. These unwanted aspects are not pushed aside, they are washed away, revealing for what they truly are, just illusions. This isn't a harsh scrubbing, but a gentle unveiling where what remains is ease, peace, and relaxation. This is the essence of stillness, and stillness is the essence of God. In that moment of connection with your God self, this stillness, you connect to everything, beyond all the mental noise, beyond all doubts, beyond all crafted identities. You connect to all. It's a really great realization that everything you could ever desire is already a part of you right now, seamlessly integrated and accessible right now. This is not about reaching out for something external. It's about recognizing the completeness that exists within in this moment. Here in the sacred space of connection, there is no need for striving or longing. There is only the profound acceptance and experiencing of everything that you are, which is everything there is. And as I've highlighted before, accessing your God self can be very simple. It revolves around a couple of questions, which I call guided pauses, that cut through the noise and directly engage with your true essence. So the first question to anchor yourself in this realization is, are you aware? And now ask yourself, are you aware of this awareness? By merely noticing the qualities of this awareness, you are actively embodying or resting in your God self awareness. This is also known as I am consciousness or love. It has many names. Another equally good question to guide you into this understanding is to pause and ask, What is true of this moment if you strip away all thoughts, memories, and preconceived notions? Feel into this experience. This inquiry is not about seeking a specific feeling. It's about understanding the space in which feelings arise. Recognize the space in which all feelings arise. Whether you feel neutral or excited, happy or just ordinary, remember these are just experiences or arisings manifesting within your God self. So what remains when you look beyond thoughts and conditioned narratives? Allow yourself to explore this question as often as you wish throughout the day. Each time you do, you come back to a direct experience of your God self. Undisturbed, pure, undistorted by past conditioning. These questions are not about chasing feelings, but recognizing that you are the space in which all feelings, all thoughts, and all life unfolds. Imagine you're caught in a stressful moment, feeling swamped by the old nagging belief that you're not good enough. Thoughts spiral, emotions peak, and you're on the brink of falling back into old patterns. At least that's how it seems. Here's what you do. Pause. Let those thoughts and emotions flow without interference. Don't try to change them or stop them. In this pause, ask yourself, what is true of me and what is true of this moment if I set aside all thoughts, memories, and preconceived notions right now? Just be with this question. Feel into the answer. This process reconnects you to your God self. Once centered in this state or this experience of being God, bring to mind your desire or visualize the outcome you seek. Notice the natural absence of resistance to this visual or your desire. This lack of resistance is important. It is the mechanism through which manifestations unfold. It is the essence of operating from your God self. So as you go about your day from this refreshed perspective, you'll find that states of wholeness, such as love, wealth, health, they naturally emerge. From these states, new actions and responses arise. You interact differently with people. Circumstances shift, and even your desires manifest. And even your desires also, they can change sometimes. For example, I once driven to be a physicist, you might find a renewed passion for engineering or medicine, driven by a desire to integrate a holistic understanding into your practice. Much like I shifted from aspiring to be a physician, which I am, to embracing the path of a psychotherapist who acknowledges our true nature, because I wanted a more holistic approach. This practice is how you can return to your God self whenever you choose, allowing you to experience life enriched by genuine engagement rather than through the lens of a fixed identity. And so the notion of being the God of my reality is not really accurate. It suggests separation and control that does not exist. The reality is more profound. God is not just in your reality. God is reality itself. God is all reality. and you are inseparably part of this divine tapestry. There are no veils of identity or roles that truly separate you from this universal truth. You are God, and you are reality, manifesting continuously and effortlessly. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below.